Hey everyone, it's Mr. Wobble94. I hope you're doing well today. I'm still trying to get over a cold from my niece that I got last week when we all went to the beach as a family. And it was in Outer Banks, North Carolina, which was really, really fun. If you haven't been, you should go. Anyway, while I was there, I was reading a bunch of Dragon Ball Super books, as I said in my previous review for Dragon Ball Super Volume 10, Maro's Wish. This is about getting close to halfway through the Maro arc, which if you include Volume 9 as the introduction to that, it's covered for about 7 volumes of books. And it's fantastic. I think the Maro arc, as I said in my previous review, is probably one of the best arcs of any Dragon Ball era ever. It has its weak points, though, and this book is kind of one of those things. Now, first and foremost, this is Volume 11, and its subtitle is called Great Escape. It's written, obviously, by Akira Toriyama, the creator of Dragon Ball, and the art is done by Toyotarou, which is always phenomenal. The art is even great here in a book like this that's kind of lackluster to me. Now, of course, I loved Volume 10, excuse me. Thought it was phenomenal. Gave it a 5-star rating. This is kind of light on spoilers, but I have to spoil some things at the beginning of each of these books, at the end of the previous books, to kind of give you some kind of idea for a review, what you want to know. But if you haven't read any of the Maro books yet, I recommend starting on Volume 9, then going to Volume 10, and then listening to this one, and then so on consecutively as I review them, because I don't want you to spoil anything really good for yourself. The Maro arc, for the most part, aside from this book, is phenomenal. Really phenomenal. Like one of the best recommendations I could ever give you from Dragon Ball, or Dragon Ball Super for that matter. But anyway, let's go ahead and talk about this book here. That is Volume 11, The Great Escape. I love this cover, dude. This cover is probably one of the best book covers I've ever seen in my life. It reminds me, like with this really cool 1960s, 50s car that Vegeta's driving. You have Jocko's Burgers. It looks like Pizza Planet from Toy Story. And then Goku is eating this amazing looking cheeseburger, dude. Oh my god. I saw that, and then when I opened up the book to start reading the book, thinking this is one of the best covers I've ever seen, I didn't even think I would have the direction that they would go with this story. The first thing I see in the front of the book is a picture of Bardock eating some kind of alien crab leg, and I was like, oh my god, they're going to have Bardock in this. They absolutely did not have Bardock in this, just so you know. Don't even get your hopes up. It's just a tease. It's just a tease, man. It's just the tip. Anyway, Super Volume 11. This was disappointing, as I said. I really wanted it to be as amazing as Volume 10. And as I read further into the Maro arc and I read how great so many of those other books were, I was hoping that it would live up to how good those were eventually in hindsight, but it did not. Volume 11, to me, is probably the weakest of the entire book series for Maro stuff. The weakest volume I've read so far, too. Where do I even start with this? Okay, so at the end of Volume 10, this is kind of a light spoiler, not a whole lot. At the end of Volume 10, Maro killed his henchman, who got one of the Dragon Ball wishes, and Maro made 2 other wishes. One that we know about having his abilities back, and the other one we don't know what he wished for. And that's kind of the tension we build into here as Goku, Vegeta, and the Lord of Lords who came out of Majin Buu, who used to be the guy who fought Maro once upon a time and defeated him and sealed him away. These 3 are rushing over with the Galactic Patrol and Jocko and Miru and all of those guys kind of waiting to see what's going to happen. They rush over to go beat Maro after he kills his henchman. And they can't believe he did it. They don't even know what he wished. They try to fight him. And things start to get a little weird. Things really start to get a little weird. Goku and Vegeta start to seem like they feel off. This was kind of introduced to previously in the previous book just a little bit. But they can tell something's wrong. But the Lord of Lords is trying his best to beat up Maro as well. He's not having as much of a hard time as they are, but things are still getting weird. Maro's magical abilities at this point, what we know about him, it's not excessive, but it's good enough from Volume 10 to really have some tension building here, and not really know what he's capable of. The guy is like the ultimate terrorist, dude. You don't know what this guy can do, or what kind of arsenal he has of abilities. That's the best thing about having this villain that's like a warlock with magic and stuff. Like I said, we have light magic in Dragon Ball in general. We always have, basically. But to see what this guy's capable of is, it's pretty fun. I really dig that about it. However, there is, about halfway through the book, a plan to escape from Maro. From Goku, Vegeta, the Galactic Patrol, everybody, because they realize they can't beat the guy. That seems like kind of a hefty spoiler to be halfway through the book, but I say that to say this. That is where the momentum of this particular volume, that's 200 pages long, just kind of left. It kind of aired out entirely. It kind of deflated. And again, this is the weakest volume to me of all the 6 or so connected to the Maro story arc. It just deflated. because of this volume. It felt like it just fell apart entirely, because halfway through, we have a prison break scenario. Not like Goku and Vegeta being locked away in prison or anything, but like these other lesser villains that aren't even like Frieza caliber breaking out. Not even like, they're like lesser than Raditz. You know what I mean? Like, they're that caliber of villain breaking out of prison due to Maro's tinkering with it. And it never really worked for me. I don't know what it was about it. I get why Maro did it. I totally do. When you read future volumes, you absolutely understand why. And to be fair, this stuff even feeds into the next arc, called the Granola arc, which is not the candy, not the oats, you know. It's an actual character named Granola in the future. You probably know about it if you're watching this review. But this stuff is set up, and I understand why, but I wasn't in love with it. Does that make sense? I really wasn't into this too much. It kind of harms the next volume a little bit too from what I remember, but I'll talk about that when I review volume 12. But the prison break thing, to me, deflated the story a little bit. I understand why it was done. I get what Akira wanted to do that would be a little bit different. But it reminded me of the same syndrome of what happened in the middle of the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, when all of a sudden we just do a prison break thing out of nowhere. Like, it just kind of happens. And it's quick, too. This is not as quick. This is like a good 100 pages dedicated to that and trying to build up something else for the future. By the end of volume 11, I felt disappointed, but I wanted to keep reading, obviously, because I had picked up like 4 other volumes after this book to read. By the time I got to the next one, I felt like I'd been happier, I guess. I felt like it was more improved. Now, of course, with the art from Toyotaro being so good, it really helped you carry through this kind of dull read sometimes. Not a bad read, not a bad book at all. You know, just kind of dull half of the book. It's not really an excuse, but you know what I mean. You're in the middle of an arc. Sometimes you're going to have points like that in Dragon Ball. It's just going to happen. But overall, Dragon Ball Super Volume 11, Great Escape, is really about escaping. And then we have like a whole thing focused on Goku and Vegeta splitting up and going to 2 different places to go train. Now, the place Vegeta went, I thought was a really great throwback. If you haven't read, I'm not going to tell you. But the place that Vegeta goes to go train to try to beat Maru in the future, Moro, however you say his name, what he tries to do and where he goes is fantastic. I really, really love that. But the fact that we just try to run away from this guy, they have to, but it's like, I'm so not used to that with Dragon Ball Z. You know, Dragon Ball Z back in the day, with every movie, whether it be a cooler movie, whether it be Lord Slug, Goku would find some way in that moment, even though he's getting his ass beat, to be able to beat those people. I miss those odds. I miss those types of setup. You have to do something different every once in a while. I get why Toriyama took the story in this direction, but I don't know. I didn't love this book. It's above average. It's a good book, a decent read, a solid read. Not a bad volume at all. Just has some flaws that I think are kind of weak. You know, some new characters from the prison break that I think are just, I couldn't care less about. You know what I mean? They're not really big henchmen. They're not really important to me. They're important to Toriyama. So that's kind of the flaw I have with this book. But overall, Dragon Ball Super Volume 11, Great Escape, is not a bad book at all. One of the most beautiful covers I've ever seen. Some really cool events in the first half of the book. Being a 200-page book, the first 100 pages are totally worth the money alone. If I had to rate it on a 5-star basis, I'd probably give it a 3 out of 5 stars. It's kind of a high 3 out of 5, though, but it's a 3 out of 5 nonetheless to me. It doesn't deserve a 4. It's weak sauce, man, sometimes, for the latter half of the book. But anyway, have you read it? What do you think about it? I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments about Dragon Ball Super Volume 11 down in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think about Maro, about the escape, about where Vegeta went, about the wishes, all of that stuff. I'd love to hear everything you have to say. And again, like I said in my previous review, what do you think about the Maro arc so far? I'd love to hear what you have to say about it. It sounds like we're heading in a really cool direction. Of course, I've read the upcoming books already, and the direction we went was fantastic. It was good to get through this, to get to that stuff. If you read this and you're disappointed, don't just stop. Keep going, because the upcoming volumes are really, really good after this one. But anyway, what'd you think about all that? Put your thoughts and comments down below. God bless you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.